Hello all, welcome to another session in this course. As part of this session, I'm going to cover the next topic, that is constructor functions in JavaScript. So let's get started. In the previous session, I covered about the factory function. The purpose of the factory function is to create multiple objects. Using this function, we have created multiple objects which have the same properties and all. Similarly, we can also use the constructor function to create multiple objects with the same properties. So what is the difference between the factory function and constructor function? If you understand, you can understand what exactly are the constructor functions. Okay. So in the last session, that is in the previous session, I covered about the factory functions. Okay. As the name says factory, right? It's a factory for creating objects. So inside this function, we generally create an object with the list of properties, and that list of properties using which objects, multiple objects of the same properties will be created with the help of property functions, right? And coming to the current topic, that is constructor functions. In constructor functions also, the purpose is same. The purpose of creating the constructor functions is same as the factory functions. Here also using the factory functions, we create the objects. Here also using the constructor functions, we create the objects. But what is the difference? Okay, but what is the difference? Let me practically demonstrate side by side. Let me also specify the differences. Okay, let me open this Visual Studio Code and we'll start from there. And here already the code for factory function is there. Let me open the factory function. This is a factory function. Function name, parameters, and inside that function, we'll create object. This is object. This is object. And we are returning the object. We are returning the object. This is what is a factory function. And whenever you want to create an object with the same properties like name, experience, grade, user, right? With the same properties, if you want to create multiple objects using this factory function, we need to call this factory function. Like this, we need to call the factory functions, and for these parameters we need to pass the arguments. And when you call this function, when you call this factory function, the factory function is going to return the object with these properties, and that object will store here, and with the help of the object we can access the properties of the objects. Here multiple objects we have created, total 5 objects we have created: user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4, user 5. Similarly, we can also use constructor function. Okay, we can also use the constructor functions to create similar type of objects, but there is a different way of doing that. Okay, there is a different way of doing that. So what I will do here is a similar one I'll create. Let me create a new JavaScript file, and I'll just name this as constructor hyphen functions, or function dot constructor function dot JS, I'll say. Here I need to create a function first of all. Okay, similar to the factory function, I need to create a constructor function. Here, the first difference between the factory function and constructor function is, here you will follow the camel case. Here, if you have multiple words, the first word will be in complete lowercase, second word onwards, the first letter of the second word onwards, it will be uppercase. Okay. Third word is there means first letter of the third word will be in uppercase. This is called as a camel case. But coming to the constructor function, it's not camel case. Rather, it is Pascal case, where multiple words, okay, that we use for naming this function, in that first letter of each and every word should be in uppercase. Okay, that is, so here if I have to create user, I have to I have to write like this: create user. Okay, here you see create user, C is lowercase. The first word is completely in lowercase, but here from the first word itself, first letter of the first word itself, it is uppercase. Create user. Now create a function here. Let me create the properties, that is name comma experience. Let's say name comma experience. Okay, so now when you talk, so what is the first difference here? The naming convention. Here, what is the naming convention? While naming the factory functions, camel case. Okay, I'll write like this: camel case. Okay, you can, this itself serves as an example. And coming to this constructor function, it is Pascal case. Okay, this is Pascal case. It looks something. If two words are there, it will be like this. This is the first thing. Second thing here is, in case of factory functions, if you see the factory functions here, the factory functions are going to return the object. The factory functions are going to return the object. When you call this function is going to return an object as a return type. Okay, when you call the function, you will get this object as a return type. Factory functions return objects explicitly. Okay, we need to return the objects explicitly in case of factory functions, but in case of constructor functions, no need to return objects. No need to return objects. Okay, objects will be returned explicitly. Okay, no need to return the objects otherwise. Okay, here we need to return the objects using the return keyword, but here no need to return the objects. Let me show you. Here we are using return keyword, right? But here you don't have to use. Okay, here you don't even have to create this object kind of style inside this function. In case of factory function, you are writing this curly braces as an object. This is an object, right? This is an object. Okay, object containing some properties. You don't have to create this object at all. Okay, or neither you have to use return keyword. Directly you need to write under the function itself. Directly you will list down the properties. How? Name is equal to name. Okay, name is equal to name. What about here? Name comma. Okay, name colon name, something like that word was there. Okay, name colon name used to be there, but here name is equal to name. Okay, name is equal to name. This name and this name are referring to the same parameter. So if you want to assign this parameter value to the object, I have to use this keyword here. Okay, this dot name is equal to name. Now, okay, this dot name is equal to name. Then this dot experience. This dot experience is equal to this experience parameter, comma, and you can also create a method here. Okay, you can also create a method inside this like this. Okay, so this dot name is equal to name, this dot experience, and you can have a method here that is a method name. You can directly write, for example, what is that? Greet user, right? Greet user. Okay, like this, you can create a method name here, and inside this method name console.log, and here you write down, okay, my name is, okay, or whatever my name is kind of stuff we'll write. My name is, here I would write this dot name. My name is this dot name plus, and I have around plus this dot experience plus, this means referring to the object, current object. Okay, when you create the objects using by when you create the objects using this constructor function, right? When you create the objects using the construction function, right? So then you will be passing some arguments, and these values will be assigned to that particular object of the, that particular object which is created by using this constructor function. Okay, this means this name belongs to the object. Experience, this dot experience, here normal experience is parameter. This dot experience is object related experience. Okay, fine. Anyhow, my name is this dot name, and I have around this dot experience. Okay, I have around this dot years. Okay, experience, around years of experience. Okay, let's write like this. All good. Next, what is the next thing? What is the next thing we have to write here? So this is a function, guys. You see, if you compare these two functions, you can clearly see, first of all, in the factory function, you create a factory function. Inside that, you create an object kind of style, and then you are returning that object. Explicitly, you are returning the object. Here, there is no need of returning the object, guys. Okay. Here, no need of returning an object or creating an object kind of style here. Okay. Directly provide the properties here. That's it. But how the objects will be created? Here, when you call the factory function, the factory function is going to create an object for you and return the object. Okay, how many times you call, that many objects will be created in case of factory function. But what about here, guys? So there is some error coming. Just give me a second. Okay, so greet user. Fine. So let me take help here. Coming to the constructor functions. We like this. They don't return the object, guys. But okay. This is a factory function. Coming to the constructor function, it will be like this. Okay, constructor function will be like this. So I have to say like this. Okay, just have to write like this. I have written like this. Okay, this dot greet user. This dot greet user is equal to symbol I have to use. Okay, in case of this one, we can write like directly like this, but here in this case we have to write is equal to function. We have to write, okay, is equal to function, then the error is gone. Okay, we have to use this keyword. Okay, this dot greet user, name of the function, and here main name of the method and function, and then this is a thing. Okay, so like this is a correct one. But here we can directly write like name experience greet user, you can write. Okay, or you can write name colon name, name colon name you can write, or you can also write experience colon x. In case of factory function you can write like this. Okay, and here you can write greet user colon function. This is the way. Here colon symbol is being used generally, but here equal symbol is being used. Okay, so here inside the object the properties will be mentioned with the colon symbols. Okay, or you can, to optimize this, you can remove this also. I told you in the previous session. Okay, if you have referred to the previous session, this can be simplified like this. But coming to the constructor function, you cannot simplify them. You have to write this dot name is equal to name, this dot experience is equal to experience, this dot greet user is equal to function, like that we have to write. But how to create the objects here? When you call the factory functions, the objects will be returned. But here we are not going to call the functions. Rather, this is a constructor function. This is not a function. This is a constructor. So what we have to do here is we have to use something known as new keyword. Okay. Here, no new keyword. Okay. New keyword not required. Not required. Not required to use new keyword. In case of factory functions, we don't have to use new keyword for creating objects. Okay. How the objects will be created? Objects will be created just by calling factory functions. Objects will be created and they will be returned. Okay. Objects will be returned when you call the factory functions. But here we are not going to call the functions. Rather, you are going to create the objects. Here, new keyword is required. Okay. Similar to Java programming, we use new keyword for creating the objects, right? In case of constructor functions, if you want constructor functions to create the objects, you have to create the objects with the help of new keyword. Okay. Is you to use it to create objects in create objects using constructor functions. Okay, this is what is the difference, guys. If you understand the difference between the factory function and constructor function, you will clearly understand what exactly are the constructor functions. So let me create the objects. Okay, in case of the factory functions, you see anywhere I have used new keyword, I directly call the function and the function has returned you the object. But in case of constructor function, you don't have to. You have to use the new keyword otherwise. Okay, new create user like this circular brackets. And here I need to, this is a constructor calling statement, otherwise you can say, and here I need to pass, let's say I'll pass Arun Motori, comma, 19 years of experience. Okay. So here I'll say let user1, this is the object we got. Okay. How did I create the object? Using the new keyword. Here, new keyword is not required to create the objects in factory functions, but in case of constructor functions, we have to use a new keyword. Okay. So a lot of people use this kind of thing also because people coming from programming languages like Java and all, right, they use this kind of methodology for creating the objects. Though both of the ways can be used for creating the objects in JavaScript. People coming from Java background mostly tend to use this kind of style. Let user 2 is equal to new, create user, give the next one, Varun Dawat, and let's give the experience as 13 years of experience. Let user 3 is equal to new, create user, okay, Tarun Bhaskar. Let's give comma and let's give 9 years of experience. Then let user 4 is equal to new, create user. Then here write down. Okay, here write down similar kind of names. Vijay Rana we can give. Vijay Rana. I'll give here 3 years of experience. Let's say. And last one, let user 5 is equal to new, create user. Here I have some examples of the users. Rahul Sipliganj. And here I'll give 7 years of experience, let's say. And now I want to call this method inside this constructor function. After creating the objects, using the object reference, I can call any of these properties, guys. So I'll be calling this greet user kind of stuff. User1 dot greet user. That's it. That's it. You don't have to do anything else. User2 dot greet user. user 3 dot here no need this constructor function will not return any objects, guys. Okay, the constructor functions will not return objects, and objects will be created with the help of new keyword here implicitly. But in case of factory functions, we need to return the objects. When you call the function only, you'll get the objects. Okay, but here using the new keyword implicitly, we are creating the objects. That's what is the difference between the factory functions and constructor functions. So when you are attending the interviews and all, they may ask you the difference between the factory function and constructor function. You should be in a position to explain this. Okay, whatever that is possible with you. User 4 dot greet user, user 5 dot greet user, like this. Let me run this code and see whether with the help of constructor function, okay, we're able to create the objects and call the properties of the objects or not. Let's see. Node space constructor hyphen function dot js, enter. You see it's perfectly working fine, right? Arun Moturi 19 years, Varun Dawat 13 years, Tarun Bhaskar 9 years, Vijay Rana 3 years, Rahul Sipligan 7 years. It is working perfectly fine, guys. Okay, so factory function and constructor functions are properly working fine. So hope, guys, you understood what exactly are the constructor functions. Here is equal to symbol need to be used instead of colon. There within the object you have to use colon, but here inside the constructor, the properties that are going to be used for creating the objects, okay, will be directly using equal symbol. Okay, here equal symbol will be used, and no, these functions will not return any object, but we have to create with the help of new keyword. Okay, that's what is the thing. And the naming convention of this constructor function is Pascal case, whereas naming convention of this factory function is camel case. So hope, guys, you understood what exactly are the constructor functions in JavaScript. So that's all for this session. See you in the next session. Thank you. Bye bye.